They touched each other silently for a minute or two, enjoying the comfort and routine of the moment, intimate and peaceful. Ruby felt her body beginning to awaken to Max's touch as she leaned forward and filled her nose with the familiar scent of Max's hair. Then the light from the television faded as the credits ended, and Max announced abruptly, "That was a terrible movie." "What?" Ruby asked, stunned into forgetting her hand on Max's breast. "No, it wasn't." "Adele is miserable at the end," Max said. "I thought you were showing me a love story." Most of the time, Max liked the movies Ruby chose, and when she didn't, they would debate the merits and flaws of them in arguments that could last hours. In the last 6 months, they discussed everything, from the fact that the real tragedy of Romeo and Juliet was their family's senseless war on each other, to Clark Griswold's unbridled hatred of Cousin Eddie, to the psychosis of Sandra Bullock in While You Were Sleeping. Max was great in a debate, and ruthless, but Ruby rarely backed down either. She hadn't expected Max to hate this one, though. "It is a love story," she said, sitting up on the couch and forgetting the foreplay completely. "They broke up," Max said. "Adele tries to drown herself in the ocean." "No, she doesn't," Ruby responded with a laugh. "She was just floating. The scene is meant to symbolize her rebirth, surviving the breakup and finding peace again." "What peace can she find?" Max asked. "Emma was the love of her life and Adele lost her." "We don't know that," Ruby said. "Maybe Emma was just her first love." "Well, in any case, calling it a love story was misleading," Max said. "Unless your goal for tonight was to rip my heart out." "That was not my intent," Ruby said, leaning over and giving Max a quick peck on the cheek, then tunneling out from beneath the weighted blanket. If they were gearing up for another in-depth movie analysis, she would need a glass of water. As she went into the kitchenette behind the living room, she called, "You pick the next one, then." "I will," Max answered. "I'll pick a real love story, where they're actually happy at the end." Ruby got a glass, and as she filled it from the tap, she heard Max call from the couch, "Are you sure you don't want to stay with me and my parents for the summer?" This was surprising. Max didn't usually end a movie debate so quickly or so easily. But the new subject that she brought up was one they'd discussed many times in the last few months. Ruby sighed and turned off the faucet. She stood at the sink and drank her water, pondering all the possible answers she could give and all the ones she'd already given when the subject came up in the past, and then she set the glass down on the counter and went back into the living room. She gave Max a stern look, hoping this would be enough of an answer, a look that said she was all talked out on the subject. But she also knew that Max wasn't a fan of nonverbal communication. Sooner or later, Ruby would need to be explicit. "Babe, I would love nothing more than to spend the entire summer with you," she said.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.